Hello guys, welcome to AniSwift TV.
We left off with Shuka needing help. Kaname and Ryuji decide to go out to rescue her. They travel through the city until they find a little one Sui, hiding behind a pole. The team realizes that Shuka is underground, but Sui warns them not to head inside. But they go anyway and sees that it has been flooded. Kaname decides to go inside to save Shuka as Ryuji questions Sui, but she makes a fire hydrant explodes and runs away. He chases her down the street where he suddenly hears a phone ringing. He goes to investigate the phone where the water bottles explode and freezes him in place. Suda comes in and makes an ice sword, but before he can finish his Ryuji, Sui takes control and dispels the sword as she refuses to ice anyone else. Meanwhile, Kaname swims until he runs into an ice block, so he channels America to break through. He finds Shuka unconscious under the water and gives her CPR. She wakes up and thanks him by eating his face. He tells her about the alliance he formed and begins to head back. We go over to the 8th Guild as they train their troops and prepare to attack the hotel, as the couple meet back up with Ryuji and Sui. She explains that she attempted to unalive Shuka because she and her brother shares the same body and they wanted to survive. Shuka makes her a part of the clan as Rain messages Kaname to explain that there is a treasure much more valuable to find. Rain informs the florist of the plan to discard the rings to chase a bigger bag, but he refuses and decides to stay and fight off the 8th Guild because he needs the money from the rings so he can pay for his daughter's heart surgery. So Rain wishes him luck and leaves. The 8th Guild enters the hotel and sends their vice captain in the elevator. Plants suddenly attack him, but he activates his power and shows off his type advantage. While the florist goes downstairs to show them what Team Trees can do, he heads upstairs to have a 1v1 with the firebender. The florist accepts that he's probably gonna become a forest fire, but he wants all the smoke. The flame demon rushes at him, causing the florist to retreat, but the other vice captain appears and punches him into the warm embrace of a kainu. The florist sprouts alive and uses a trap he made to buy time and escape. They find him by a wall as he decides that he's going to bring down the building as his last resort to end them. Rain Solid snakes around to find the treasure while avoiding all 8th members, but she gets discovered by one of their scouts. She uses her ability to escape and goes upstairs, but Wang appears out of nowhere then captures her. He breaks her arm, then she tells him a story to waste time until her alliance appears. A pew-pew fight begins as Kaname takes Rain to safety. Shuka goes around slaughtering the noobs while making Sui freeze the battlefield. Wang tries to attack her, but Ryuji pews him away, so Wang goes after him. He explains that Wang's ability is short teleportation and spatial slicing, so as long as he stays away he can beat him, but some fodders distracts Ryuji, which allows Wang to catch him off guard and disarm him. Rain decides that she will use her ability internally and dives deep to figure out where the treasure is located. As Wang makes a show out of carving Ryuji, but Kaname stops him and declares he has surrendered. He tells Wang that he has the key to the treasure and threatens to destroy it. Wang decides not to unalive him, but he will continue to play with Ryuji. Kaname accepts the deal and tosses him the key, but while Wang is distracted he puts in a code for a locker. Then it's revealed that the treasure was hidden inside it all along, which brings the event to an end. He opens the box and finds a phone that the game master calls. He tells Kaname that he can gain a unique privilege in the game as long as he doesn't break the rules. Kaname requests was a surprise even to the game master, but he grants it. 2 months later, Shuka decides to buy a clan house while Rain gifts the florist's daughter all the money he made and inform her of his passing. She begins to mourn, so Rain decides to give her a card to call when she's ready to know the truth. Meanwhile, Ryuji gets his arm healed by the boxing guild where Kaname has been training to fight the guild master Danjo so he can win an alliance between their groups. The fight starts with Kaname conjuring a chopper to block Danjo's punch, then throws boomers to keep him far, but Danjo closes the distance. Kaname responded by bringing out a slicer that makes the master retreat, then uses a mini pewer to keep him away. Danjo runs to a pillar and uses it as a shield to get close to Kaname and disarm him, but he throws a flasher to blind and corner him with his pewers. Danjo accepts defeat as the rank 1 player Shylon interrupts their duel, then disables everyone before kidnapping Kaname. They report it to Shuka, who reveals that she has a tracker on him. In the car, Kaname asks her why she kidnapped him. Shylon explains that she is an assassin that comes from a very prestigious clan and wants to take him under her wing since he has a talent for war.
Then have babies with him to create a strong successor.
His guild finally tracks him down, so Kaname decides to make a deal with her. If she can escape his guild, the Sunset Ravens, then he will be a slave to her. Rain goes to blow out the tires, but they're pew-proof, so Shuka decides to go out and face Shylon. She gets hit with killing intent but continues the fight. Shylon deflects everything and goes to slice Shuka, who weaves as Rain tries to pew her. She takes out their tires and attempts to escape, but Kaname throws a bottle of wine that Sui freezes to take out Shylon's tires also. Seeing that both their vehicles are damaged and the only way she can escape is by sending everyone to God, she decides to surrender and join the Sunset Ravens so she's able to keep an eye on Kaname. The next day, Kaname finds out that Wang kidnapped his friend Shinazuka, so they make a plan to go and retrieve him. Wang chills in a warehouse waiting for Kaname when he suddenly gets a report that officers have arrived outside, so he sends out his vice captain to give them a fisting, but he gets a report that there's more coming through the back door, so he goes to give them a welcoming. Shuka drops a phone by Shinazuka's head, then Kaname tells him to activate Darwin's game on his phone. He shows off his head game and gets kissed by the snake that allows him to free himself and blast away his opponent. War arrives, but he waves them away until Wang shows up and they have a duel. Kaname arrives at the front door and leaves Inukai to 1v1 the vice captain. He uses a force punch, but Inukai attacks him from his blind spot and get countered. He decides to go all out and run around the vice captain while Rain and Sui coordinate to freeze their opponents. Ryuji and Kaname walk through the warehouse where they encounter Wang. He asks him to let his friend go, but Wang tells him that his friend is closer than he thought as he sees a box with a present stuffed inside. Kaname begins to cry because he blames himself for his friend's passing. And for the first time Kaname blows someone's mind. He reports to his team to wipe out the entire 8th clan and begins to give all of them brain surgery. Wang goes on the attack, but Shuka backstabs and leads him away to the outside. Leaving Kaname to face the rest of the 8th, he walks toward them and makes all of the guild past tense, then leave to go and finish Wang. He chases at Shuka and destroys her weapon, but he misses a step because he lost a leg. Wang teleports behind her and attempts a slash, but gets disarmed instead. He sits on the ground confused until he sees blood dripping from threads. Shuka explains that her power allows her to not only move string-like substances but also vibrate them so they act like a blade. She ties him up, but he uses his ability to switch places with her only to become immobilized. He begins begging for his life and crawls away as Shuka prepares to reunite him with his guild, but in a desperate cry, he teleports much further than he has ever done before and manages to fall at the feet of Kaname. He surrenders and begins to cry for his life when Kaname reveals that the privilege he received allows him to force his opponent to bet everything they have in a battle, and since the 8th clans lost all their points, they begin to become a hashtag. Wang realizes that he has been defeated and tells Kaname that he's the king now as he begins laughing before getting his mind blown. In the night, the Sunset Ravens wipe out all the players in their territory. To discourage anyone from even attempting to play the game in their territory, in order to create a giant safe haven for all the players who want to live without fighting for their lives. That will be all for today. Like the video if you liked the video, subscribe for more. Thanks for watching and remember to stay swiftly.